to do a serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
I can't remember which anime it was from. Is it Evangelion or something like that?
Evangelion.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Mari from Evangelion. Yeah.
Nice.
In her like Ava suit. Or her like pilot.
Yeah, 'cause I remember being
suit.
in Lille, and I was just like, I think I was with Pascal at the time,
Yeah.
and we were just in this geek shop. And I tried ringing you at first, but you didn't answer. Then I just messaged you saying, which one of these would you like?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember watching the video back afterwards when you uploaded it. Yeah, it was
in real time as well. Like, I was like holding the GoPro. I was like, Pascal, I'm gonna try and ring Kel here and see which one he wants.
It was I don't know if surreal is the right word, but it was really interesting watching it back for me personally, because I was like, okay, let's just try to find the spot where Az tries to call me.
Yeah.
It was cool. So but definitely it's on display. It's on display.
Nice.
All right,
I do love GoPros. Sorry, carry on if we're recording, but yeah, I do love GoPros because you can just get them out and just capture whatever moment's going on at the time. So they're always good to have in your pocket, sort of thing. You just bring it out and then just click it and then you start going. And to be fair, GoPros these days are actually pretty good quality. Like they can record in like 4K and 2K and stuff now. Although if you do that for long periods of time, it gets really hot because it can't really sustain constant recording. But good little things to have.
Yeah, I've been basically using my phone for that. Anytime I travel, do a vlog or anything, the phone is so convenient to have. And my phone can shoot in 4K, but I never upload to YouTube in 4K, so I just do 1080 60 FPS, which is what I upload to YouTube. So
perfect. Yeah,
and it looks nice.
Have you got Premiere Rush on your phone as well?
No, I just import all the files onto my laptop, and I just edit it all in Premiere on my laptop. I do have like the full Adobe Creative Suite subscription, so I'm pretty sure I could download it if I wanted to, but maybe I should for when I travel if I want to do like a quick little thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good because I remember Stephen was using it. Diamamajo was using it at the first Worlds. He was using Premiere Rush, which is basically just like a very trimmed down version of Premiere Pro. And it's exactly what I used when I went to the UK Games Expo. I shot a lot of footage on the actual event and the Flesh and Blood booth and stuff, and I managed to. The new GoPro has Bluetooth functionality, so I Bluetoothed all those files over to my phone, which I then edited on my phone and just released it. So it's a good program to have, and it's free as well. I think it's free. I don't think you need the Premiere Suite, but it's definitely worth getting. For any content creators out there that shoot things on the go and want to edit,
I will say
what I'm going to be doing.
I tried the Photoshop app and it sucks. Like on my phone. I don't like it.
Oh yeah.
So there's that. I'm just like, I can't do the things that I want to do, so I'm just not going to use it and just do it on my computer. If we're ready to start, I'll just leave all that stuff in. Who's the host? Am I the host?
Yeah, why not? I think so. Yeah.
How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Living Legends podcast, your weekly Flesh and Blood podcast where we talk about all aspects of the Flesh and Blood trading card game. My name is Cal, also known as Red Zone Rogue, and I am joined, as always, by my two excellent co-hosts, Az and Bill. Az, first, how are you doing today, my dude?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, actually. Done a lot of Flesh and Blood stuff in this week, which we'll get into in a moment. But yeah, it's fairly quiet news week, so we're going to go over some stuff that we haven't really covered, which we'll get to in a minute. But we got Bill as well.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Bill from the Spike Feeders and the Living Legends podcast. My most exciting thing in Flesh and Blood this week, other than getting to play a game with Ian from Right Time Gaming, which was fantastic. I found my cold foil Fate for Scene, which was missing mysteriously for like a few months, basically since I got it. So very happy about that. Feeling good.
Where was it?
Nice.
On the desk,
It was
probably.
just like
Just on the
in a
desk.
box. I didn't realize that I had put it in a box. I have like lots of stacks of cards just like sitting on my desk, and I looked through all of them multiple times and didn't see it. And I was like, well, if it's a cool enough card, I usually keep it out. And then I was looking for sleeves yesterday to sleeve up my my Zen deck that I'm playing in the league that means nothing, and it was just sitting on top. It was like the first card in this box, and I was like,
Oh, there it is.
Nice. Well, it's good that it didn't get too far away, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can all relate to those problems as well, right? Like the card gamer studio, content creator studio situation, like when there's just stuff piled up around you and you never have time to sort it out. You know, we will have to dedicate time and space and energy to cleaning our space every now and again.
I've gone through the ritual more than I would like, a lot more than I would like, where it's like, okay, I know that I have this card, and it's like, it's a foil version of the card, right? I have plenty of like other versions of it, but I want specifically the foil version that I know that I have, because I want to put it in my new deck. And then I was like, I have to go find it, right? And I'm like, okay, where is it? Is it in this stack of foils? No. Is it in this stack of foils? Is it in the bulk? And just kind of, I'm like, where the hell is it? I know I have this card. I recently went through that with looking for a scrap, because I'm like, I know I have 3 red foils. Where the hell are they? And I was like, okay, are they in my Outsiders foil box? No. I have just the blues and yellows in there. Okay. Is it in my Assassin foil pile? No. And I was just like, I still can't find them, by the way. I have not resolved this. I cannot find them. I know I have 3. I actually think they are in another deck on the shelf in like a box, but I haven't had the time to go through every single deck that I have built to try to find the 3 red foil looking for a scrap. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you say that, because I played a friendly game with Pascal, because I'm playing a lot of Riptide at the moment, because I'm also playing Riptide in the league. That means nothing, and he was playing the looking for a scraps against me in that game because he was playing new. So I just wanted to get a few new games in, and it's pretty good actually. It's the 1 for 5 that you can banish one of your big blue cards to give it go again, right? That's normally why it's good, because you can banish those blue cards, which you can then play with her ability later on.
It's a 1 for 4 that if you banish a base attack 1, it gets +1 go again. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm iffy on the card. I'm not sure how much how I like it. My current version is not running that because I couldn't find my foil foils.
Yeah, for that reason only.
I'm running something else. And
didn't Ian say something similar to you as well, Bill, when you played Ian this week? He said he was like, "Oh, I'm not playing the optimal list or something." What, some sort of excuse?
He was I mean, I basically said the same thing. He's like, yeah, just so you know, like, because I think it started because I had said to him, you know, everybody, as soon as they heard that I was playing Zen, they were like, oh my god, like, how could you do this? How could you bring just like objectively the strongest deck into this fun tournament? And I was just like, hang on. I don't play bonds. This deck is like basically mostly thematic. It plays like almost every card that makes a Crouching Tiger.
Hell
like,
yeah.
It's still like, I would say, a good deck, but it is not the optimal Zen deck.
You know, have any of you guys seen Kung Pao Enter the Fist? Now this is relevant. This is relevant to what Bill's talking about. Kung Pao Enter the Fist. It is a comedy kung fu movie by like Steve Odekirk or something like that. It is not a good movie by any stretch, but it is funny if you're into really dumb stuff. But anyway, long story short,
I've seen that.
It's very quotable. There's a part where he's one of the guys is putting like little like paper animals on this thing, and he's just like, Bertie, tiger. Tiger. And every time I see Zen tigers, I just think in my head, tiger. Does anyone who
sounds like
anyone who
sounds like the
yeah.
That sounds like Dal Sim from Street Fighter when he goes Tiger Flame or Yoga Flame or whatever.
No, it's Sagat. Sagat does Tiger. He goes
Oh,
like,
that's what it is.
Tiger uppercut.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
tiger.
Yeah.
And his like regular tiger is his like projectile attack, and then he's got like the tiger uppercut.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah. I played Sagat for a while actually, like Street Fighter 4. Anyway,
Sick characters.
Yeah, and so anyway, so I was saying to Ian that like, oh yeah, don't worry, my deck is like not the optimal Zen deck. Like, I don't think it's necessarily like a suboptimal deck in general because it's still Zen and it's still relatively strong. But I was like, I'm not playing like the Zen deck. This is a list that I think I stole from somebody on Discord like a little while after all of the cards had been spoiled. And I have not changed it since. So this is a list that has not been iterated on at all. And he was like, "Oh yeah, like it's the same thing for me. I'm not playing a very optimal list either, because I can't find my Leviathan deck, and that's where all my Command and Conquers are." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay."
nice. Well, I obviously don't want to spoil too much of it, but there was a card in your game that was pretty cool, which Zen, I think the main Zen list don't use, and that was Maul, which is one of the Majestics.
Well, yeah, I did
Yeah, so
resolve a Maul. That was fun.
Yeah, so that's a pretty sick card. I don't think the typical Pro Tour nonsense run that card, do they? I don't think.
Yeah,
I think it's just.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because it's very much like this is the Crouching Tiger stuff. Like this is the support package for specifically Tigers instead of having Tigers be the support package for the rest of the deck. But to me, that feels less fun. I would much rather be like, I have a reaction to this attack for 0 that I have presented.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'll tell you what as well. Oh, again, these are just cards that people know of now, but cards that appeared in your game. Tooth and Claw was also very good as well.
Yeah. I don't want to say that it's a spoiler, but I did get to resolve all 3 modes of Tooth and Claw in that game. Which is pretty cool because it requires you to have 3 Crouching Tigers in your hand. And that was also a turn that I had no buffs. And
5 go again, draw a card for no resources. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 5 go again, draw a card. All you need to do is have 3 probably dead cards in your hand. It's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Reminds
a fantastic game. And shout out to Ian just again. What does it remind you of?
I was going to say, it reminds me of Phoenix Form, and there's another player in the tournament which is running a Phi list which cares about Phoenix Flames, and Phoenix Form is in the list. So again, a very strange sort of Phi list, off the wall Phi list, who wants to use Phoenix Forms also in this same tournament as well. So hopefully we see something similar with that. It reminds me of that though.
Yeah, that's really exciting for me to hear as well, because I played Phi a decent amount when he first came out, and then people sort of stopped because I wanted him to be like a Phoenix Form engine deck. That was like what drew me to him, was Phoenix Forms just being really cool. But unfortunately, that stopped being the optimal deck, and like they kind of stopped running even like Tome of the Firebrand, and like all those really cool cards, and like Phoenix Form. I wanted to play Phoenix Form. And in one of the armories relatively soon after he came out, I did get to resolve a 3-mode Phoenix Form, and it got fully blocked and nothing happened.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
And we said that on the podcast as well, like back when we've been doing this for ages now, it seems, hundreds of episodes, when we were covering Uprising at the time. We saw that card and was like, holy hell, this is a must block me card, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the reason why we haven't seen it, because it's just a must block me card.
Yeah, it just gets blocked every time somebody tries to resolve it.
Yeah, any card with like a big scary effect that like doesn't have evasion says block me. Like it says, I don't do anything, I just take like 3 cards from your hand or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe use some of your equipment. That's what it essentially does.
Yeah. It's a fine thing to do if you could do things like after presenting it with all 3 modes, but most of the time you're like building your turn around doing that, because like a card that makes your opponent block it with a bunch of stuff is like pretty cool if you can follow it up. But yeah, this requires 3 Phoenix Forms or 3 Phoenix Flames and a Phoenix Form probably doing some other stuff too. So it's supposed to be like, if you hit, then you get an additional bonus. But even keeping up something like Razor Reflex or something to make it harder to fully block, just like isn't really feasible. Yeah, you just like don't have stuff that you can do. Imagine if you could just a Nick Phoenix form. That'd be dope.
Holy hell.
I was
Iconic
actually
assassin. Let's go.
I was actually considering running Vipox, so I could just a Nick Vipox.
Oh yeah.
That's what
Completely
I
forgot
do,
that card.
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, it's sweet. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, because that becomes a 0 for 6. If it hits, they lose that much life with the cards in their hand, right?
Yeah, but
it's +5.
it's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, they could just put 2 cards in front of it and full block it, like either way. You know what I'm saying? Like they see the Vipox coming in, and they basically have 2 options. They either don't block at all, or throw something tiny like a piece of equipment, or they're just like commit 6 to it because like it's like, well, you might have it. So
Yeah, it's
here's
like
6.
if I would die to this, then I might as well not die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Assassin's quite good at that, though, isn't it? Assassin's quite good at doing those card trades. That's what Azuri's good at anyway, because you never know. As long as you can force your opponent to block 6 most of the time, you're getting 2 cards for 1 each time you do that. So it's just I think that assassin game plan's quite good. And I'd love to see more Arachne, just because Arachne just looks quality. It's just the character design looks great. But yeah, it's just not. Unfortunately, just doesn't do much at the moment.
Yeah, someday.
Shout out to the Arachne player is playing in this league. There is an Arachne player, but God rest their soul. They face an Enigma in round 1. I'm not going to say any more.
Well, hey, assassins have actually Arachne has less 6 attacks than like Uzuri. Well, they have some 6 attacks. All right, they've got Omewa Moshindaru. They can block for 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
Random cards and random interactions aside, has anybody else done anything else this week at all, Flesh and Blood related? Well, I guess we have to a certain degree because people are playing in the league that I'm organising, so I guess there's that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys have heard the big news, but due to my criticism, not only do I not like Flesh and Blood, but I've never liked Flesh and Blood. So I have all of these artist proofs here that I'm just gonna kind of like toss, and I also have this fully foil new deck that I built just because I don't like the game at all. So
what was this? What's this going off of the back of? Sorry, if I missed something here.
It's just a little cheeky response to a comment in last week's video. Who basically, because of my criticisms, they believe that not only do I not like Flesh and Blood, but I must have never liked Flesh and Blood. And so all of the stack of 30 artist proofs, many of which I've never shown off before. Actually, I'll show them off now. This one is a Knives Out by Henrik Lindner. Yeah. And then I also have a newer one. This is Art of Desire Mind, also by Mr. Lindner.
That's nice.
But yeah,
That's good,
because I don't like Flesh and Blood, I guess these are all just kind of like a pointless waste of time. I'm just gonna toss them. I'll also go throw away the hand drawn Dromai that is made out to me specifically by Livia Prima, and I'll toss my foil new deck as well. So Oh, by the way, my foil new deck that has competitive meta staples like cold foil Plague Hive in it. I'll just toss it because I really don't like Flesh and Blood.
Love that point. Good stuff.
But that does segue into the what we did, because I am playing the new deck in the new deck in the league, and it was literally my first time ever playing new, and first time playing the deck, first time playing new, and you'll have to see how it goes. But I was up against the Teklovossen, and you'll see. I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say some of the sweet cards that I put in the deck because I just really love them, like Plague Hive and like News Sacred Art, which doesn't see play in any of the actual like competitive new decks.
Yeah, that's true.
I may or may not have been able to use them in the game, and I was very happy with that. So, and I may or may not have been. I'm running Sensor in the deck. We were talking about looking for a scrap earlier, and I'm running basically Sensors instead. So I guess you can run both. You can run both, but it's kind of like a similar 1 for 5. But I really like Sensor, so it's a sweet card.
Oh,
If I play
It's
against
pretty good,
Bill, I'm
pretty
just
good
gonna
card.
name Tiger every single time. But the pouncing Tiger,
Absolutely.
Tiger. So anyway,
That's cool, yeah, because
the,
I've never seen to be honest, any coverage that I've seen of new, lists that I've seen, etc. I haven't seen the Sacred Art undercurrent be used at all yet. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how that goes down, because all those cards are pretty sick. But of course, you can only have one of them in the deck, so you don't ever see it often, right?
well, a lot of the lists, I was doing research, like building this deck. I ended up just being like, screw it, I'm just gonna do whatever I want anyway. But while I was doing the research, I noticed that almost no one runs it. I think it's because it requires it's kind of like a hefty upfront cost, right? You have to have played a blue card, and it costs 3 to play. You do get 3 back because it immediately transcends, but you still, it's a little bit more than just like a, keep a 2-card hand kind of deal. You need to keep like a decent hand in order to even do anything. And then its effects are like, okay, you get a Slither and you get a Fang Strike, and then you get to banish some stuff from your opponent's bin, and it's like, it's all right, but I really like it. And so I'm running it. I don't care if it's not optimal. Same with like Plague Hive. I'm putting my Plague Hive in any like Assassin or Ranger deck. So yeah, because it's cool.
And this is exactly, and that's the environment to run it in as well, because it's just a league that means absolutely nothing. But just off of these cards, do you run the Sacred Art in your deck, Bill, for Zen?
I do.
Hell yeah.
The thing that I think makes sense for Zen, at least again from my own perspective of just wanting to play a version of the deck that is fun to me, the thing that is kind of fun about the Zen deck, which doesn't sound like it's very fun, but it's a very sort of like, I'm just gonna present what I have, and you have to kill me in time. Like, I'm making you. Nice. You have control over this game. I'm not gonna block. Which I think then plays really, really well into the Sacred Art, because most of the time you'll want to have like a pretty full hand to make sure that you're taking advantage of it. And what better way to confirm and basically guarantee that you have a full hand than just not blocking ever? Just having like, especially when you're able to block with like, if you've transcended already, you get to block with Traverse the Universe and Stride of Reprisal. Start with like 6 or 7 cards in your hand, and you're like, haha, we. But yeah, so I do play it, and I don't think there's a universe in which I would ever cut it from the deck. To me, it feels like such low opportunity cost as just a one of, to just be like, sometimes I hit this and it's sweet, other times it's just a blue. Sure. Big fan.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I'm playing the extended art foil one that I got in Japan. In fact, there's like a handful of Japanese cards in the deck. All of the other Transcend cards are in Japanese. They're some of the only non-foils. So I don't have the Marvels for all of them. So instead, to make them all uniform, I'm just using my Japanese versions. So like 95% of the deck is foil. All my equipment is foil. My new is the Marvel version that James White complimented me on when I flashed it during our interview with him. And then he showed us his phone that has the new.
Oh yeah.
It has it as the background photo.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I very much like this deck. This is my like Flesh and Blood deck of choice these days. It's just Assassin really, and so it's like new. Then the deck can be like kind of swapped between Uzuri and new, but there's actually not a ton of overlap. So I might be able to. Well, there's enough overlap that it's annoying for me. I'll put it that way, because I don't want to get another full set of foil surgical extractions, and I don't want another full set of foil Leave No Witnesses. Those are some of the big ones. I also have my full set of foil Command and Conquerors in the deck, so it's like I could make an Uzuri deck, but I'll be slumming it with non-foils, and that's not what I'm about. So, well,
the surgicals still are they still expensive? Surgical extraction? No, they're not regulars. Well, regulars are not expensive anymore. They used to be well sought after, weren't they?
Yeah, they got the kind of like adjusted print in was it Bright Lights?
Oh, of course they did.
Dust Till Dawn? One of those two sets. I don't remember.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
One of the
nice.
One of the 3 sets that was like during the blur period of Flesh and Blood for me, where I just kind of like tuned out a lot of it.
Yeah. Last year, wasn't it? Last year was a bit sort of odd.
Yeah.
The experimentation year as such, where they were just releasing, sets to booster one class and one class only, and then a supplementary set which nobody really liked because the heroes were just not very good out of the gate, and then they had to change it and release a new Luminaris and
it's like they did almost the same thing twice in a row. This is not the topic of the video, so I should talk about this too much. But they did it was a supplemental set that was just like Shadow and Light, so it was like it wasn't just one class like Dust Till Dawn, but it's pretty close, right? It's just like Shadow and Light and a tiny little bit of the other stuff, like, you got a couple brute cards here, there, and whatever, but most of the focus was on just those. So if you're not into those, then you could mostly just tune the set out, and then immediately followed by Bright Lights, where if you're not into Mechanologists, you can just kind of like tune it out, other than like some limited here or there. I did like the Crack Shuffle play. That was good. So yeah, it was interesting. I have a feeling this is a conversation for a bigger discussion, like a longer discussion, but I'm curious to see.
We're free.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we're free flowing today anyway, so we can just decide what the title is as we carry on.
Well, I was going to say, I'm just curious to see where LSS takes it going forward, if it's going to be similar to that, which is fine. It just means I need to approach, and I am approaching Flesh and Blood differently now, and that is, I have my deck, and I'll partake if there's something that I'm interested in, but outside of limited, maybe not. Because I was actually talking to my round 1 opponent, Matt, who was playing Teklovos, and we're kind of talking a little bit about that, where I'm just like, he was asking me what I think about Rosetta, and I was like, it looks cool, but I don't know if I'm actually interested in any of the heroes, and if I am, then I might, build a deck, but if I'm not, then I don't have to buy much of the set. Maybe, do an opening or 2 on the channel, and maybe buy some singles, but other than that, I don't need to. I don't need to buy a ton.
I do like the fact that they're giving us an idea of what we're in for before quite in advance, so we can be like, oh, okay, well, if you need to reserve funds or whatever, you can't just splash out loads of money on a case or whatever. You can at least know what the theme is, what the flavor is. Whether you've got Runeblade cards already or Wizard cards already, you can pick up the ones you might need in preparation for. Like I can already see a lot of people buying things like Blink and Channel the Thunder Step, and a lot of other lightning-based cards that could work well on it, and other Runeblade cards that could work well on it, because it is rune chant based as well to a certain degree.
Mordred-Tide, get your Mordred-Tides. Yeah,
all that good stuff. So I guess it's nice to know that information that far in advance, because I've already started picking up some lightning cards, because I feel like I resonate with Aurora just because she looks like she's a Final Fantasy character with the famous Final Fantasy X sword. So it's probably going to be a deck I build. But that being said, I've said it before on a previous podcast, I'm probably just going to buy the box sets going forward, and then if I resonate with a hero mechanically after that, at least you've just got a deck that you can play with friends or UPF or whatever, rather than just going all in on trying to build a hero for a CT deck or whatever. But yeah, I like the fact that they're announcing the heroes on the aesthetic quite far in advance, at least.
Yeah. There was a time where I would buy like $1,000 to $2,000 every Flesh and Blood set, and I had like a master set. I have a master set the entire game up to. I have most of Dust Till Dawn, even though I spent like a $1,500 on the set, I still didn't pull a master set on it, which is ridiculous, but that's a whole other thing. And I'm talking like non-foil, lowest rarity. I got like 1 Slithering Shadowpede in like 20 or 30 boxes. It was crazy. But because of stuff like that, yeah, like I said, I am approaching Flesh and Blood differently since heavy hitters. I kind of changed the way I buy the game. So
luckily you can engage with it that way though, because it's hero centric. If you don't really care for a hero or an aesthetic of a hero, then you don't have to get into it. You can just play a hero that you like, right? So
it required a. Oh yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say you can play it that way. You can approach it that way, so there's no issue with that at all.
It required a mindset change for me because that's not how I personally like approaching trading card games. I like buying into it. I like being the person who's like, oh, it's new set day, open up a whole bunch of boxes, kind of revel in it, really, really get into it and enjoy it. That's how I really like to engage with card games, but that's not how I'm going to be doing it with Flesh and Blood, just because of the reasons we said. It required a pretty big mind change for me for that. And I have other games that I can do that with. And so with Flesh and Blood, I can engage with it in this other way where I have like my favorite decks. I have my all foil assassin deck. I have my pretty blinged out like Lexi Blitz deck. I have my Yorick UPF deck. I have some pretty cool ones that I really like, and I'll just kind of like upgrade them as things go on. People are not gonna like that I'm gonna say this, but it's kind of like Commander for me, where I have my decks and I just upgrade them as new set comes out, right? I don't need to
that's
revamp everything.
That's a fine way to approach it, because Commander is the same thing. You choose a hero and you build a deck around it. You know, your mindset is, I want to build a deck because the character looks cool, or the synergies and the mechanics are cool. That's why you want to build it. You're not building it to be hyper competitive. All these players picking up Azalea because she's good, when I've loved her from the off. It's a completely different mindset, isn't it? From the very start. So, there's again, like I know that I want to build Aurora just because she looks sick. I know that already. So I don't need to look at the cards. Although that channel, the Lightning Valley, looks pretty cool. But yeah. Do you still get master sets, Bill, or not? Not anymore.
I have been trying, but with the amount of the amount of Marvels in every set kind of going up steadily, it's become harder and harder to do so. I think the last set that I got a master set of was maybe Uprising. Yeah, I think it was Uprising, because Dynasty had that was the CNC Fabled set, right? Am I getting them mixed up?
Dynasty had the CNC, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get a full set of Dynasty, and I think that's kind of where I started losing steam. Because there are still certain cards that I don't own. Like, I don't have a Singularity. Bright Lights was kind of a tough one. I didn't buy a lot of Bright Lights. But I think I got all of the Angels from Dusk Till Dawn, at least. The Marvel Angels.
I didn't even pull all of the base rarity Angels in like the 30 boxes that I opened. Pull rates are wild, man.
I got insanely lucky during Dusk Till Dawn, because that was also the first instance of there being like really swingy boxes and cases. Like, I remember I was sitting next to a friend of mine locally, Seth. Shout out Seth. And he was opening his case of Dusk Till Dawn, and I was opening mine. And I'm just gonna see if I can find the picture that I posted, because it was like pretty much just straight up a god case. Let's see, image.
Remember those?
It was pretty unethical how good it was. Those are some cases of heavy hitters. That's the playtest card. Oh yeah, I just remembered that I have a cold foil Iron Rot Gauntlet that I bought from somebody. But anyway, it was like I'm getting so close to it. I think I can vamp along. Yeah, here it is. So this case had Rainbow Foil Fabled, the Light of Soul. It had Marvel Figment of Erudition, It had the Marvel Nazareth the Soul Harrower, Marvel Figment of War, extended art Dyadic Carapace, extended art cold foil Dyadic Carapace, non-foil Crown of Providence, and then extended art and rainbow foil Diadem of Dream State in a single case.
That's actually crazy in 4 boxes. That's wild.
Yeah, like it was. What did I just list? 5 legendaries and 3 Marvels. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 legendaries. 3 Marvels and an extended art legendary and a fabled. Just kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I was sitting next to Seth and he like didn't even pull a single legendary.
That do be how it, that's how it goes,
yeah, so I got insanely lucky.
I did open up, I will say for Dusk Till Dawn, even though I only got 1 Slithering Shadowpede in 20 plus boxes, I did open up like 3 or 4 Light of Souls, which is absurd.
I think we all did, didn't we?
I opened up a cold foil and then like 3 rainbows. Yeah. I think I still have the cold foil.
I just wish Nazareth was playable, because such a sick looking card.
Preaching to the choir, man. I spoiled that card. I want it to be good just because I like put a lot of effort into the video, and it was like, I don't know, it's cool. I like Nazareth. Nazareth looks cool. Nazareth still reminds me of something from like Planescape, like Planescape. If you ever played Planescape Torment, that's what it reminds me of. Kind of like Lady of Pain vibes. Nazareth is cool. Shout out to Iswardi, Therianto, the artist.
Yeah, Iswardi, good guy. He
absolutely
he allowed me to buy from Oath on Nicolaitis.
I remember this story.
The only version of the fabled CNC that I have even seen in real life. I got an artist proof from Oath on Nicolaitis, and I went up to him on the first day, saw that he had one, and he was talking to a guy, and I was like, oh hey, like I kind of want to buy this CNC, is that okay? And the guy that was in front of me was like, oh, well, I was kind of looking at it, but it's fine. You can take it. I'm like, are you sure? And then we were talking back and forth, and he was like, yeah, it's all good. And then I only found out later that was Iswardi Therianto, because like I know his name and I know who he is, but I didn't know what he looked like.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So I don't know if he was just giving me a hard time or if he was legitimately going to buy this artist proof. But either way, big shout out to Iswardi Therianto and to Oath on Nicolaitis. I owe him coffee at the next event that I go to, because he was just a really chill dude.
Nice, very nice.
I remember heading, because we went to the player reception, didn't we?
Yep.
We went there, and Iswardi's booth was set up, and I remember just going over to him and be like, "Oh, Iswardi," because I had a few drinks.
Yeah, at that point you had. That was really good.
And he was loving it. Such a great human. But very talented guy. But yeah, well, obviously while we're on the Dusk Till Dawn trend, I guess we could go into some Boltyn stuff.
Right.
I was just about to say
the actual topic of today. Actual topic of today is the Boltyn Armory deck. Now that one is currently out. I need to adjust my screen ratios a little bit for this. Should be good now. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is the second one that's
actually out now, isn't it?
I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe so. The Boltyn deck is out, and the Azalea deck will be out shortly after Gen Con, which is only in a couple weeks. So
August. Yeah.
We'll have 3 decks available. Well, 3 decks published soon. Availability wise, I don't know. We'll see if they're available or not. The KO deck was available in some places and got bought out quickly in others, and we'll have to see how popular the Boltyn and the Azalea deck are. So yeah, we can get into it. We can talk about some stuff. I don't think we need to. Not going to recap my opinion on these decks just in general. I've already said enough about them. So let's talk about. I will say one thing. Well, I'm going to say a lot of things, but I will say that I think it's actually pretty cool that they included certain reprints in here. So just reprint-wise, they're not really valuable cards, but I think they are key cards for Boltyn to a crazy degree. So there's Lumina Ascension, which is great. We kind of joked about it, how like they wouldn't print Lumina Ascension, you know, because they didn't print Blood Rush Bellows or whatever. But no, we do have a Lumina Ascension, so that's great. I don't have the exact numbers of everything in the list, but I'm going to assume that it's just a full play set. I assume you just get 3. So we got Lumina. We get Via the Vanguard, which is just a rare, but I mean, it's kind of like a mandatory one for Boltyn. Then we also get not an expensive card, but still just really nice to have for any new player, Sink Below. So it comes with Sink Belows, which is great. It's just a common card. It's actually kind of funny they're printing it at rare here, which doesn't actually serve any purpose, but I don't know why it's rare, but it's weird.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say that too. Like they're almost, it's not in a way that matters, but they're like trying to say that this card is stronger than a common.
Yeah.
Like retroactively.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what it is, signaling to people who don't know, I guess. But then you'd have to know the rarity system in Flesh and Blood to understand that. I don't know. It's just a funny thing to note. But yeah, good. Sink Below, great. Snatch also, just kind of a generically good card that's in the deck. That would be good for any like new player to get. And then of course you have all of like your Boltyn-y stuff like Express Lightning and Take Flight. You know, all of your
charge cards.
Yep, all of your Boltyn-y goodness before we get into the new stuff. This one is a Raiden Duskbane deck, so Raiden Duskbane is the weapon, so it's not hatchets or something like that. So this is a Raiden, which is cool. So he gets his kind of like his signature weapon.
It's really cool because obviously Boltyn's got 2 abilities, right? So if you've charged this turn, your attacks get +1 while defended by attack action cards. So it makes blocking decisions really difficult because comboed with the second ability where you can banish a card from his soul to give target attack greater than its base go again, those 2 abilities synergize quite well together. So if like in this deck, for instance, Snatch, if Snatch is defended by an attack, it gets +1. What does that mean? It means you can banish a card from Soul to give Snatch go again, and we all know how sick that is. So it's all like little interactions like that you might miss at first glance, and I definitely missed interactions like that when I first looked at Boltyn in general. But when I first looked at Boltyn is when I first started the game back in Monarch. When Monarch released, I looked at Boltyn, I was like, what the hell does this guy do? But but yeah, so the deck looks really cool, and 3 Luminas. The deck list is on Fabrary, so you can have a look at it. But yeah, 3 Luminas are in there. Obviously, you got 3 of most things. So I think all the cards on the Fabrary page all have 3 ofs. I think most of them.
Yeah, I think that the whole deck comes with play sets, including the new cards.
It just comes with 3 of everything, and then 1 of each of the equipment and 1 of each token that it makes.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. For the new cards, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the main deck cards or start with the equipment?
Yeah, let's start with the main deck card because it's just the one. As far as I can tell, everything else is a reprint. I actually put in Fabrary. Shout out to them having good search keywords, because I was able to go set Armory Deck Boltyn and then not set Monarch or Dusk Till Dawn or Welcome to Wraith. So that just pulled out everything that had been printed previously.
Interesting.
And so yeah, there's 5 cards, and let's start with the main deck card, because there's been some chatter about this one, in addition to the chest piece, which I'm personally extremely excited about. I like the chest piece a lot, so let's save it for a little bit later. But if you're able to pull it up, Saving Grace is the main deck card that is new. And this card's kind of schnutty. It's a yellow majestic, so it only comes in the 1 color. It's a defense reaction for light warriors. It costs 0 and blocks for 3 inherently. So a yellow 0 for 3, that's the same rate as like Sink Below, so what's the big deal? Well, this one allows you to, as an additional cost to play it, you can charge your hero's soul. It is a May, so this still at its base is a 0 for 3, even if you don't charge it. But if you do, it gives target attack -2 attack. So on its own, if you're able to charge, which is something that your deck wants to do, so this is advancing your game plan, and it becomes a 0 for 5. It also, in conjunction with the legendary chest piece, which I'm blanking on the name of right now, but the one that if you've charged, it prevents the next damage you would be dealt this turn.
Yes.
Soulbond Resolve. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Soulbond Resolve. That makes this a 0 for 6.
It's like a 1.
Good.
I think of it like it's like a 1 for 6 because you still have to charge a card from your hand. So I think of it like a Easter egg kind of deal, right? It's just
yeah, exactly. I was gonna say very similar to how you would evaluate E-Strike as a card. E-Strike as a card costs between 1 and 3 resources depending on what cards you have.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But it costs all of the resources that you pitch into it, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is like a 1 for 6 if you have that other chest piece, a 1 for 5 if you don't, which is still insanely good.
Yeah.
And again, it's furthering your game plan. This is something that the deck wants to do. People have been like kind of clamoring for good ways to charge your hero's soul in Boltyn. And this is an insane way to do it. This is just like another 3 copies of Soul Shield. Like really good for, especially if you're playing a combo version of Boltyn, you can just sit around and wait until you have the perfect opportunity to combo off. And this is something that helps you do that. So I think this card's insane. It's really good.
It's very good. It's very good on turn if you're defending on turn 1 as well, because it means you can get stuff into your soul on turn 1 and still draw up. Same with Soul Shield, because that goes into your soul as well. So having 3 of these and then 3 Soul Shields just means if you've got those cards in your hand on turn 1, you can still defend extremely well, charge your soul to set up, and still draw up, which is ridiculous. It's the same reason why I liked things like Take Cover in Ranger decks early on, because you could reload on turn 1 and then still draw up. So yeah, it's really good. And obviously the charging mechanic is very good when paired into things that do come in the deck, but you can upgrade them to better versions, and that's the bannerets that we saw as well. Whenever you charge the bannerets, they give you an extra thing that happens on your turn, whether that's a courage, a quicken, a resource, or make your cards defend for more. You can get the I think it's there's a majestic one banneret of, I think it might be courage or something.
Yeah,
it's like bolting on the art like this, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah, this one,
banneret of courage. Yeah,
that's the one with Boltyn on it. The one of the ones in the deck is actually kind of interesting. This is Banneret of Resilience, and when this is charged into your hero's soul, the next action card you defend with this turn gets +1 defense. So it's actually like goes really, really well with that new defense reaction, right? So I don't know, that's pretty cool. Yep. Get extra, and then it becomes like a virtual like a 1 for 7 then, right? If you have all of the things.
Yeah. So I think that card's crazy.
Yeah, it's just good place to start for sure. But yeah, what else we've got on here? All the other stuff is equipments, isn't it? Apart from the reuse.
Yeah, I think every piece of equipment is new.
Yep. So yeah, let's start from the top down. How about? Although actually we can kind of lump 3 of them together because they are extremely similar in what they do, their form and function. They just kind of do slightly different versions of it. But yeah, let's start with the helmet. Helm of Halo's Grace. Which is a light warrior equipment headpiece, majestic, blocks for 2 with blade break, and when it defends, you may charge your hero's soul. If a yellow card is charged this way, draw a card. So just immediately replaces itself.
Yeah,
that's
good.
Great.
Seems good. Yeah,
it's great.
That's basically what the the other Halo is like kind of used for, just as like this charges your soul. Obviously, the Halo is more proactive because you can do it on your turn as an instant or whatever if you really needed to charge your soul. But this being like a Blade Break 2 that just replaces the card that you use to charge, that seems great. That seems awesome. You're digging further into your deck, which is something that you want to do when you're trying to combo off and you're trying to hit your opponent a million times.
I never thought about it like that, actually. Yeah, whenever you charge cards, you put it into your soul, so it just means that you're getting rid of them to then draw more cards, basically. Yep. I never thought about it that way. That's
yeah, so all the ones that let you draw cards, like there's the card in the Boltyn deck. I think it's, what's it called? Not Express Lightning. One of the cards that you usually attack with. Is it Bolt of Courage?
Bolt of Courage. Yeah, I think so.
I think that one lets you, if you charge this turn, Bolt of Courage gains if this hits draw a card. I really like playing, obviously, the yellows, but I also liked playing the blues when I was playing Boltyn, because it's just a dinky little, like, this is a 0 cost, 1 attack thing that if your opponent gives you a card to, like, stop you from drawing a card, you're kind of laughing, because it's like, I've attacked you for 1. Cool.
It's like a little snatch as well, isn't it, really? Because if you charge... Yeah, you can basically you can turn it into a snatch, and especially if it's buffed by like a courage or a quicken, or well, even if it's buffed, you can then use Boltyn to give it go again with the reaction ability. So so it can function that way as well, which is quite nice. Or it's just a 0/0 for whatever it is. So it's good. Yeah. It's a good little card. Bread and butter Boltyn stuff there, and of course Bolt of Courage in the Boltyn deck. Of course it would be
Boltyn Courage. And then we also have, like I was saying, in this sort of, it's almost like a cycle. We have Bracers of Bellona's Grace, as well as Warpath of Winged Grace. I'm going to, again, kind of lump these together because they are the chest piece and legs piece, respectively, that both have Blade Break 2. And they both also have a trigger on defense. So the chest is when this defends, you may charge your hero's soul if a yellow card is charged this way.
Just for the audio listeners, and to make a small correction, these are gloves. These are the arms piece.
Oh, these are the gloves, right? I was looking. The chest piece part just feels so central in the art.
Yes, yeah, it does.
So yeah, these are the gloves. You're absolutely correct. Thank you for that. So yeah, Bracers of Bellona's Grace are not a chest piece. You don't wear bracers on your chest. But when they defend, you may charge your hero's soul. If a yellow card is charged this way, you create a courage token. Which for people who do not remember, including myself, it gives you a buff on your next turn, gives you an aura that breaks at the start, or it breaks when you play an attack action card or activate a weapon attack to give that attack +1, which is always pretty good. We see that a lot in KO.
Good with,
just sort of allows...
Good with Boltyn's hero ability.
Yeah, it is just a buff that is proactive, that especially when it's like your first attack for the turn, sometimes your opponent will be like, okay, well, I'm not going to block this so that it doesn't get go again. You can be like, well, too bad, it has go again now. So like that's really good. And then the boots are the same sort of thing. When this defends, you can charge. If a yellow card is charged this way, you get a quicken token, and we have seen how strong quicken tokens can be because of the way that they are. Being able to like bank action points over turns is even better. This one serves honestly a very similar function, I feel, in being able to give your first attack of the turn go again, like guaranteed. So instead of this being a buff that you would then have to like cash in one of your soul cards to give go again, this just gives it go again flat, and it works on things like Snatch, like as was saying previously. So all of these individually feel insanely strong. They feel extremely good because previously Boltyn was playing things like I'm pretty sure Boltyn was playing like Valiant Dynamo. I
mean, Valiant Dynamo is quite good though.
It is. It absolutely is. And it helps in the long game, especially if you're playing with like sabers or hatchets or whatever.
For sure.
To make it, block 3, 4, 5 over the course of a game. But yeah, with this being able to, you're lining up your turn and you're like, okay, I just need one source of go again for this thing to go off. And be like, okay, block with my boots, charge this thing. And now I have like technically 2 instances of go again. Seems kind of crazy. But yeah, before we get to the last one, what do you guys think about this cycle? Let's start with Kel.
No, I think it's pretty good. I think the hat is the best of the 3, but I think they're all pretty good. Notably, I think the gloves are better than they look, just because of the way that the courage token interacts with Boltyn's hero ability. It's not just a +1; it's a +1, but it also turns on Boltyn. I mean, quicken tokens are always really good, but the hat is exactly what Boltyn needs. These are the kind of effects that he really needs, just because the charge mechanic is very like hand intensive, and being able to replace the cards Makes it so you can actually have like really nice explosive turns, and you can do, you know, really, really cool stuff. Like this really helps you set up for those really big like Lumina Ascension turns, which is in the deck. So you can do your whole like, you know, massive Lumina combo style turn. So yeah, or your massive via the Vanguard turn as well. So yeah, I like them. I think they're good.
Yeah.
I think it's a.
Yeah, they're just. Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you can carry on. Yeah, I'll interrupt you then.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's a really good starter set. Like, I think they're really easy to understand, and I think they're strong enough to be like not embarrassing to play with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of intricacies, isn't there, with Boltyn? So it's a warrior, so obviously it makes you make interesting blocking decisions, especially with the fact his hero ability buffs up your cards, which then allows you to then play into the Boltyn second ability, and that's also what the equipment are good at. Is especially if your soul is, if you don't have many cards in soul, your equipment can essentially act the same way as your hero ability if you block correctly. So it can give you a quicken to give something go again that might not necessarily have it, or your courage can then buff up something which will then allow you to have go again if you if you've got cards in soul. So you can set up these turns easier, which Boltyn just didn't have access to before. So it's the whole sort of starts in play, stays in play thing again, just, you know, having more consistent options to play your hero's main strengths. And then, yeah, so I think they're great. And they block for 2 as well, which means he's got a fridge of 6. However, there is a chess piece in this, which we're going to go into in a moment, which has had arguments against it as to what hero you play it in, because there is another piece of equipment that we've alluded to already, which is the Soul Bond Reserve, which is a legendary piece of equipment, which would be a fantastic way to upgrade this deck, because it is a very good chess piece, and that's the one that blocks for 2. And as we alluded to earlier, if you've charged, it then prevents the first instance of 1 damage. So all those other cards that care about charging or payoffs for the defensive capabilities then just get buffed by the 1 as well. So that's another card you can look at if you want to buy this deck and upgrade it. That's another really good piece of equipment you should look at.
Yeah, that piece of equipment, it's a legendary, but it's also like dirt cheap. The last time I saw, I've seen it go for like 10. Yeah, like $10, $12. So.
Oh yeah, well, get them while you can then, because I think Boltyn's going to be pretty sick with the release of this deck, and I think I might actually just get this precon just for an extra CC deck that I can play casually, because I think it's pretty cool after seeing it and delving into it more. But yeah, there is another piece of equipment on this list as well, and I'll just read it out. So this is Solar Plexus, is what it's called. So interestingly, this is the only piece of equipment in the deck which is just light equipment. So all the rest are light warrior equipments. So that's one good thing to note. And it says, instant, destroy this, banish a card from your soul. Yellow cards cost you 1 less to play this turn. So just yellow cards in general. So Art of Wars cost nothing to play. You know, all that sort of stuff. You can all your Prism Heralds cost nothing, because, you know, they cost, a lot of them cost 1. So all of your Prism stuff will just cost nothing if they're yellow. So the main argument was, is this really a Boltyn card, you know, in this deck? But there are, in this list at least, in this list that you can see here, there's a lot of yellow cards that cost 1. You know, Battlefield Blitz, V of the Vanguard, Valiant Thrust, all of those cards will then cost you nothing to play, and they're all pretty explosive cards. Like Battlefield Blitz, if you charge this turn, it's a 0 for 4 with go again. V of the Vanguard is a 1 cost yellow. Valiant Thrust is a big attack reaction. Take Flight again is another good card. If you charged, it gets go again. So it could just be a payoff in this particular environment of an Armory deck to just give you that big explosive turn, similar to how Savage Sash was doing it. But I think from a competitive point of view, you look at the Soul Bond Resolve instead. But as a more of a janky explosive thing, you might look at the Solar Plexus. But what's your thoughts on the Solar Plexus? I know you was like, oh, Bill.
Yeah, well, I got like messages from Ian, who's one of the guys, not Ian from Right Time Gaming, Ian, also known as Hellboy Returns. on the line.
Oh,
he's the caster, one of the two casters of the League That Means Nothing.
Right.
He messaged me like basically as soon as it got spoiled and was like, "How do you feel about this in Aggro Prism?" And I was like, "Hang on, what does this card say?" Because I thought,
Oh wow, yeah.
like as said when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, okay, like for Boltyn, sure, whatever." And then he said that, and I reread it, and I was like, "Oh, it's a light equipment." Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that it's pretty great. I actually recently, I want to say recently, but like I haven't played the deck in a little bit. When I was playing it really frequently, near the end of that, I had actually taken out the Art of Wars because they were just a little bit too clunky. And getting rid of one of my very precious attack actions to potentially draw into 2 buffs and not more attack actions was like too much of an opportunity cost. But this deck, because it's funny, because there are so many cards, there are only so many good playable cards in this deck. I actually run quite a few yellows that cost 1. Like I have yellow Transmogrify, I have yellow Wartune Heralds, even the Herald of Eruditions, having those cost 1 would be great. I'm running yellow Phantasmifies, I'm running yellow Spears of Surreality. What's that?
What do the Phantasmifies and Transmogrifies cost?
Those all cost 1. they all cost 1.
Shit.
So this makes them all free, which is like a delicate balance to walk, a delicate tightrope to walk, because you do still need to have pitched a yellow card to give your stuff go again with Luminaris. But if you're making everything else that turn free, you can have some insanely explosive things. I'm playing Phantasmal Symbiosis, which costs 1, Spears of Surreality, which costs 1. Like a lot of the yellow cards in this deck do cost 1, just kind of again by virtue of there aren't that many good cards for this deck. So as like the only aggro Prism player, I personally am very excited about this card, and I'm going to be adding it to. This is a deck that doesn't have a sideboard. I was kind of saying this to Ian from Right Time Gaming yesterday, that I, as a player, am kind of averse to sideboarding, just because I'm lazy. So the list that I have for Aggro Prism is exactly 40 cards, and then 4 pieces of equipment, my weapon, and my hero, and then like Spectral Shield tokens. I just like, this is the deck that I'm playing. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. And that, to me, that feels good. But yeah, so that will actually be the 5th piece of equipment that I'll put into my inventory, just to give it a test. Instead of what's the thing that I'm running right now? It's the popped collar polo as the chest piece.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That is definitely, cause that doesn't block, right? That one?
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't block at all.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it just pops as an action for a resource, which is like fine, but this could be 1 resource, could be 2, could be 3. Who's to say?
This one also has a really good pun name, so there's that as well.
Yes. I do like the fact that it's called solar plexus and it's to do with the sun. I mean, I think that's kind of what it's named after anyway, the like cluster of nerves in your stomach, because it kind of radiates out like a sun.
Yeah, I just thought it was really. I saw the name Solar Plexus and I'm like, of course that's what it's called. It's a light equipment, of course it's called Solar Plexus, or specifically a light chest. Yeah. Flesh and Blood. Yep, it's tracks. It tracks for their naming conventions for sure.
Yeah. So I'm very excited personally for this card, and I'm looking forward to when they decide to print like a blitz version of the Armory deck for Prism, and specifically my aggro Prism.
Yes,
so that they can be like, we're gonna print more snatches, we're gonna print more transmogrifies, and I'll be like, yeah.
I was waiting till you were done, Bill. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, I love this, and just like specifically in Blitz, like aggro Prism Blitz. I just want to do this and punch you with like 3 angels, like. Or like maybe, well, you still have to pitch a card like Bill said, like to get go again. Yep. But pitch a card, then you can just hit him with you pitch one card, to play your Herald of Erudition, and then you can crack this and then play like 5 subsequent heralds for free.
No, I think the crazy thing that I'm going to be looking forward to specifically in this deck is to pitch into like a Phantasmafire, Transmogrify or something, then crack this, then pitch a yellow, or no, yeah, you can like, yeah, no, you can do it like this. Okay, I'm piecing this together in my mind, but you can crack this, play a yellow Transmogrify or Phantasmafire or whatever. Then all of your yellow stuff costs one less. Then you can pitch a single yellow to attack with Herald of Erudition twice.
So,
Oh god.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like what's the magical Christmas land on this, and I think it's also if you somehow weave in 2 Art of Wars into that as well, banishing and then drawing for free, and then giving +1/+1, of course. So you get an extra card on top of that you can also play. So like if you weave that in, and they're all like you can weave in like the 1-drop heralds, so they'll be free and also have go again. There you go. That's the magical Christmas land. Then you're playing like Zen. Yeah.
And that's what the game needs.
Yeah, I can theory craft what the absolute perfect hand would be, but I'll need a minute.
My league that doesn't mean anything game, it was over an hour. I will take the 15-minute Prism aggro Prism game in a heartbeat, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm gonna just start putting this together because now I'm interested with like Art of Wars and Herald of Eruditions and buffs, and Fractal Replication has to be in there somewhere. That's just mandatory.
Yes, do it, and then play against my Lexi deck, and we'll race. No blocks, race. See who can kill each other fastest. It's so great. See if I get my 3
anyway,
other kinds, and yeah, it's good.
So this card's in a Boltyn deck. But yeah. So in the context of the Armory deck, it can just pop off and just give you a load of cool stuff. But I think there's a lot of implications outside of this deck for other heroes as well, with the fact that it's just light equipment, so other light heroes can use it. But yeah, all in all, pretty sick deck. I think I probably will just get one, just because this cool equipment, and I just want new heroes to play. This gives a new sort of edge to Boltyn, I think. So
yeah. So I'm gonna pose the question, because this is probably what I'm gonna name the episode. And so I'll pose this question to you guys: how good is the Boltyn deck? What do you guys think of it? What's your final verdict? I've given everything, the whole picture, complete package. What do you think of the deck?
I think it's really good. Genuinely, I think this is quite good. It gives you a really, really solid start into Boltyn. The deck is like, I would say maybe a little bit complicated, especially as like a starter deck. Like I would say the KO deck in terms of complexity is like miles below this deck, because because like with KO you're just like, okay, I'm gonna punch some stuff, and that's cool. But this deck, you have to like kind of worry about setting up for an explosive turn. You have to manage your in-hand resources pretty carefully. But I think if you can do that, and once you get like a few reps of the deck in, I think they've given you a pretty solid base to work with. I still think that it's, they could have had maybe a couple more pieces of sideboard stuff, again, even if it was just like Null Rune or whatever, just to make this a little bit easier. But thankfully, Null Rune is like relatively easy to come by. I think that the upgrades to this deck are, at least right now, like not very expensive. Like you were saying, Soulbound Resolve is like, can go down to like $10 or something.
So I looked it up just to make sure. So Soulbound Resolve used to be around $8. It has increased in price, likely due to this deck, and it's around 18 currently. TCG player low. So it's still sub 20
for
but
an upgrade. Yeah, for like a legendary upgrade to your deck that does like pretty consistently up the tank factor.
Cold
you
Foils
are able to survive a lot more with that. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, Rainbow's 18, Cold Foil is only 26, at least according to the market price. So yeah, not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I think it's a great starting place for I think Armory decks are, good starting places for heroes. If you're ever interested in a hero, you can start there. I think it's a good place to jump in. But luckily, as we say, Boltyn is not really a expensive one to upgrade. Obviously, we know that Soul Bond Resolve is one of the main things, but you've also got things like the Banneret of Courage. I'm not sure if they're too expensive.
Probably not.
You've also got No, exactly. You've also got things like Beacon of Victory, which is another good payoff card for having lots of cards in your soul. Attack reaction that gives plus X to something, where X is number of cards in your soul. So that's pretty good. And you can go then shooter for your Lumina combo. So that's other cards that slot in quite nicely. And then things like Celestial Cataclysm as well, another great card which cares about cards in soul. And then that's just 7 go again for no resources as long as you've got 3 cards to banish.
Good one.
So I don't think any of those cards are really that expensive. I reckon you could probably build a pretty good Boltyn deck for less than $100 after you pick this deck up, with those upgrades included. Yeah, I imagine. But yeah, no, I think it's really good. Obviously, it's nice to see that they've got the Lumina Ascensions in there as well. It does make me think, okay, what's going to be in the Azalea deck? Is there going to be not Death Whistle? Because that's something similar where you get the specialization kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into the Azalea deck right now because we're talking about a Boltyn, but I hope at least Knock. Yeah. Seeing this, I hope at least Knock and Red and Ledger. I think those are like essential and part of just how Azalea plays as a hero. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's good to see that Lumina's in here because that's obviously one of the main things you want to be doing as Boltyn. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, overall, good little thing. Good little list, I think.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree. I agree with you guys. The Armory decks as a whole, as a product, they're not quite what I wanted them to be. So with that said, I am now evaluating them as what they are instead of what that I hoped that they would be. And for what they are, if you can find this, I think at MSRP, which is or whatever map, whatever it's like $40 or like a map is like a little bit cheaper than that. Yeah, sure. I think it's okay. I think it's probably a good starting point. I also agree with Bill that I think it is kind of a more complicated deck, which I think is kind of funny. Like they picked Boltyn, and Boltyn is like one of the more complicated heroes in the game. He's just because of how charge works, and it makes your math, like when you're playing Flesh and Blood, way different when you're actually like planning out your turn. So if you want to really complicated or more technical deck than KO, sure, I think this is probably a good example. I imagine the Azalea deck will be, in my opinion, I think Azalea is a lot easier to play than Boltyn. She's more straightforward, and she doesn't have to do charging shenanigans. So yeah, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see where that goes. And obviously, we can talk about that when it comes out. But obviously, we've seen a lot of aim counter stuff on it, so it could be a little bit different to how a lot of people are expecting it to be. But I guess we'll see when it comes out. We haven't seen the full list yet. Yeah.
So overall, I think this is good. I think the deck is good. I still think it's too expensive, but I'm going to think that for all of them. So that's just kind of like a baseline for me and just evaluating them in terms of like card game market competition, all this kind of stuff. But for what it is, yeah, I think if you want to play Boltyn, this is probably a good place to start. And like as said, probably isn't too much to upgrade it if you're not doing like Art of War stuff. And I don't even know if Boltyn plays Art of War these days.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I actually don't know, but if you want a budget, stay away from him, even if he does, because those ones are not cheap. So you can probably full upgrade this deck for the price of 3 Art of Wars.
Probably, yeah. Without a doubt. I don't think you need him either. I'm just thinking of the list that because in the league that means nothing, I'm going to mention it again as we sort of close off here. Roger Bodie from the Mana podcast is playing Boltyn in this league, and he posted his list recently on Twitter. So it's on there. So if you go follow Roger Bodie, he did post his list that he's playing in this tournament on February, and I don't think it has Art of Wars in it. No, it doesn't.
Cool.
So
I didn't think so, but I also didn't know if they did or not. So I just wanted to say, I'm like, if it does, don't, you can kind of ignore them because those are expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. So his list on February is £287.
Does he run stuff like E-Strike and CNC and stuff? Because that those will definitely inflate it pretty quickly.
I'm just looking at the things here. So there's two bannerets. So there's Banneret of Courage and Gallantry. So those are the ones that will, again, pseudo act as a way of breaking down Boltyn's hero ability. So one of them gives you a Quicken, one of them gives you a Courage. So there's those bannerets that you can add to your deck. He's also got Beacons of Victory, Celestial Cataclysms, Spirit of Arena is obviously a one that you have to get as well. Soul Shield, Saving Grace, Take It on the Chin. But there's also obviously the equipment list. If you look at the equipment list here, there's a couple of expensive pieces of equipment like Balance of Justice. You can probably make an argument to not need to buy that to a certain degree. Balance of Justice, and then you've also got things like Courage of Bladehold, Warband of Bologna. So we've just got Iron Song Versus. So just a wide equipment spread is the main thing that's really bulking out the price of the deck. It's not at the actual Boltyn cards themselves. So yeah, that's it really.
Nice.
But yeah, watch out for that on Gergen Gaming. Roger's first game is Boltyn into Enigma, and that is a very good game. So if you're looking for any Boltyn-based gameplay, then that will be a good thing to watch because Roger's very, very good on the deck. So it's could be worth checking that out when it comes out. I don't know when that's going to be yet. So, but yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. What was you going to say?
I just want to say that while we were talking about that, I was like putting together the absolute highest magical Christmas lantern that I can think of with my aggro prism deck.
Oh, let's do it.
And it is a long thing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it starts with attacking with 2 Art of Wars. Or sorry, it starts with activating Solar Plexus, then activating 2 Art of Wars. Then it is, including the 2 Art of Wars, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 lines long and deals 86 damage.
What?
Because Art of War draws you cards, and then you have multiple triggers from drawing cards from the Heralds, right? Their edition.
Oh my god!
I'll go through it. I'll go through it.
You know
what? I'll just go through it right now. So activate Solar Plexus. All of your yellows cost 1 less. Activate or play Art of War, banishing an attack. You go down to 2 cards in hand. You draw up to 4. And you have +1 attack this turn. You do that again, drawing back up to 4, +2 attack this turn. Yellow Phantasmify, pitching a yellow, going down to 2 cards in hand. Pitching the yellow for the Herald of Erudition, which costs 1. Phantasmify makes the... I actually did the math a little bit wrong, but that's okay. Actually, no, for this one I didn't. Phantasmify is just a buff to the attack itself, doesn't modify the base power. So yellow Phantasmify gives +4 on top of the 5 that Herald of Erudition has. +2 from Art of War makes it 11 Dominate Go again. That brings you down to 1 card in hand. You draw up to 3, but then it goes into your soul. That's relevant for later. You play another yellow Phantasmify that gives another +5 for a second Herald of Erudition for 11 Dominate Go again. Draw back up to 3. That goes into your soul. Then yellow Transmogrify, which sets your next attack to base power 7. To then yellow Snatch for 7 +2 from Art of Wars is 9. Go again. Draw back up to 2. Yellow Transmog. Maybe I did a little bit of math wrong because I go 2 in hand, 1 in hand, draw up to 2. Then yellow Transmogrify, I go to 1 in hand. So I'm like 1 less than that. It's actually only for 80, sorry. But you do that again.
Now it sucks.
You go yellow Snatch for 9, go again, draw up to 1 card in hand. Fractal Replication, which is for 9, go again, and sees both of the snatches, but not the Herald of Erudition, because they're in your soul. So you do draw 2 cards. If that hits, you go up to 2 cards. Then another Fractal Replication, you go up to 3 cards. Then 2 Wartune Heralds for 8 each with go again, and then a Spears of Surreality for 6 with go again.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do that. You do that on your turn 1 because they went first and you blocked. So you actually you can be slightly. How much damage did you say it was?
80 damage.
So you can do 81 if on their turn 1 you blocked with your Bracers of Bellona's Grace, and then you got your charge from that for your solar plexus, and then you got the +1 extra damage from the courage token. So there you go. You can do that. You can do it on your turn 1 if you go second. If you block that way, yeah.
But if you have a six power card in hand, you can pop. Right.
That's true. Yeah, all of this fumbles to a single 6-power blocker, to a popper at all. But that's not the life that I live. I'm not a coward. And so,
Absolutely.
He's not a coward, and he's playing against Zen, who doesn't have any 6-power cards anyway. So let's go.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Drop to 1. Oh no, yeah, that draws up to 2. I'm just making sure that my math is sound going through this again. And it is excellent. So yeah, that's 80 damage. Big fan. Anyway, that's my diversion for the last part of this podcast.
Nice.
That's my arsenal step even.
Nice.
Amazing.
Very nice. Well then, as we wrap it up here, do you have an arsenal step that you would like to talk about? Anything going on outside the world of Flesh and Blood that you'd like to talk about today?
Not too much outside of Flesh and Blood. I'll mention something that I did recently that's still Flesh and Blood related, though, just on the end here, and that's so I posted a Twitter post saying I work very, very destructively. Does anybody have transparent hero cutouts? Because on the Flesh and Blood page, they used to do transparent hero cutouts, like they did ones for Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising, but they didn't do any. They didn't do any past that. And then Sloop Dupe posted a folder of all the cutouts that he had done so far, which he made available to the public. Maybe this was after I said something. Maybe he thought, oh yeah, maybe I should share it because I've got it, which was nice. And then I ended up a couple of days ago I looked through the folder and I was like, okay, what's missing? And then I basically cut out all of the heroes that were missing and then added them to the folder, which he then he shared earlier today. He said, "Oh, as your legend or whatever," for adding the rest of the heroes in, because it's something that I always do quite a lot. I always make these stupid graphic edits of like film posters and all sorts, but then I don't keep the file after I've edited it. I just delete it. So every time I make a new graphic, I just waste a shitload of time doing it all over again. So luckily I've sorted that habit out now. We've sort of collabs to make this folder, which is full of I added all of the CC legal heroes that have cutouts. Riptide took me absolutely ages because of the net that he holds. So I had to manually cut all the net out and everything. So it took me ages to do. But for any content creators out there that are listening to this, if you go to Twitter, God save you if you're going to Twitter, but there is a link that is available on there, it's pinned to Sloop Dupe's profile, which has all of the CC heroes now, all the legal CC hero art on there, which is all of it's cut out, so you can add your own backgrounds or use it for your thumbnails or whatever. So that's just something that I did recently, which I think is helpful to a lot of people that might want to use them for thumbnails or etc. It was very, very helpful. Sloop Dupe sharing it, and then me realizing that there's a few missing, so I added to it. So hopefully a lot of them are in there. I'm not sure if all the young ones are in there yet, and if someone else wants to take up the challenge of doing that, then by all means. But all the CC ones are there because that's the content that I do the most of, so I thought I'd add those in.
I totally missed all of this. I actually have a file. I have a folder that has all of them up to Tales of Aria. Do I have any ones after that? I might have some after that too, but I actually have a folder that has like a lot of them, including the young versions, up to Aria. So I have like Young Chain, Prism, Boltyn, Lexi, Briar, all of them up to at least Aria. I'm not sure afterwards, because I honestly haven't looked into that in a while. But if you look at my like how to start playing Flesh and Blood videos, that's where all of those cutouts are from. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
It's just
Cool.
good to have everything updated, like again, so people can access it that might not necessarily have it. So because it's just not, you don't have to worry about, you can just tailor the thumbnail as to what you want or the graphic to what you want now. So because it's just the hero cutouts. So I thought that was a good little thing. But yeah, that's it.
Nice.
Really. That's my Arsenal step.
Nice. I have one. It's really short that I can mention. So to nobody's surprise, I really love collecting card games. More than just like the games that I play. I love collecting card games and card game like history, TCG history stuff. I've said it multiple times in videos. I have sealed product for over 30 different card games here in my studio. Everything from Anachronism to Wyvern. If you know what either of those are, you are already down the iceberg. And so even further down the iceberg, I actually picked up something pretty rare recently that was only $15, and I love finding these rare stuff that's really cheap. So this is a sealed booster box of Chaos Gear. So this is Chaos Gear. This is a 24-year-old Japanese trading card game, and this is a sealed booster box. This game was published originally by Cardass Masters G and Bandai. And dude, it is old and very cool. And this is the kind of stuff that I really get stoked about, like finding. These are like my hidden gems. So Chaos Gear is adding it to the collection. Someone on Twitter, I tweeted about this, and someone on Twitter was like, you could probably open up a museum. And then I was like, I thought about it, like I actually thought about it. And I'm like, You know what? Not a museum, but I could probably do an exhibit. Like I could probably actually do an exhibit. I have quite a bit. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna open this or not. It's very cool and nice. Maybe, but also it's nice to just have sealed. So that's my little Arsenal step. I love card games, and I collect them even outside of like the content that I make. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, unless there's anything else, we could potentially end it here. In the coming weeks, we'll definitely have the Azalea deck coming up pretty soon. I'm certain that LSS is going to be at Gen Con, which is pretty cool. So anyone going to Gen Con, definitely go stop by the Legend Story Studios booth and see what they have. I know that the Azalea deck will be available for an early purchase at that booth. So if you wanted to get an early copy of the deck, that's a good opportunity to get that. Do
you know how early that will be though? Is it worth like
I think it's like
someone the money and then sending it?
No, it's not worth it. No, it's like a couple days, if that. It might be like 1 day or yeah. So definitely for you, definitely not. If you're like a content creator and you're going there, probably, because you can buy it that day and then make a video and so you can have it up before it's actually available. But if you're not doing that, definitely not worth shipping for sure. Especially if you.
I'd love to go to Gen Con. That'd be so sick.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list. Now that I've been to Anime Expo, Gen Con is one of the other major conventions that I've always wanted to go to. That someday, hopefully next year. I was very close to going this year, but just kind of missed it with some other stuff that I'm doing. I am going to be traveling internationally again a little bit later this year, but I'll announce that later. Talk about that later. Anyway, with all that said, I think it's going to be it for today's episode. Stay tuned for some more Flesh and Blood content here at the Living Legends podcast. I've been Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue, and as always, we have our illustrious co-host. We'll go with Bill this time. Bill, where can everyone find you if they would like to?
Hello, I'm Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders Fab. We do live edited gameplay content. We are currently doing a classic constructed gauntlet where I am playing Zen, the deck that I'm actually playing in the league that means nothing currently, against a good friend of the channel and good friend of mine personally, Jay, also known as Zen State Fab. Shout out. And you can also find me on social media at BillTSF, where I post very infrequently, but when I do, it's stuff like a screenshot of the Magical Christmas Land rollout that I just posted to these guys. So so definitely if you're interested in that, you should follow me there. And yeah, that's me.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
And then of course, where can the lovely people find you and potentially catch up on the league as well?
Yeah, so that's all on Go Again Gaming on YouTube. So all of us are involved in it as well. So you'll be able to see our games, our blunders, our successes, all of that. So yeah, it's a good time. And just speaking of Spike Feeder's Fab as well, actually, Jay, who appears on that show quite a lot, is also in this league as well, playing Vincent as well. So it's good to have him on as well, which is nice. So a couple of Canadians on the thing. And it's quite a widespread tournament as well. There's a lot of representation from all over the world, so it's nice to see that. But as you can imagine, you know, the organization of your opponent, playing your opponent, is quite difficult. But we make it work. But yeah, it's all on Go Again Gaming, and then you can find me on socials, mainly on X or Twitter, Go Again Gaming AZ is where I post all sorts of stuff. So that's it, really.
Excellent. And once again, thank you all so much for listening and or watching. And we'll see you next time for some more Flesh and Blood content. All right. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.